Right then guys, it's now 2025 and seeing as there are no Premier League games to predict for this weekend, let's do an all new Premier League table prediction. Hello guys and welcome back to yet another video. As I say, it's a big one, an all new Premier League table prediction now that we are into the second half of the season. And I tell you what, there's still so much to play for, there's still quite a few games to go, and there are some teams in places that you didn't think they would be at this stage. Can they stay there or will there be much change? Well, let's see if I can guess it correctly today. Guys, before we get into today's video, do be sure to support it. Let's go for 2,000 likes. It takes 2 seconds to hit the like button and it is massively appreciated. If you are new or haven't subscribed yet, feel free to do that as we are very close now to 88,000 subscribers and it would be massively appreciated. Get involved. Thank you so much for your support so far. And I will say guys, before we get into this video, feel free to share your predictions down in the comments. It's okay to disagree. You might not like my predictions, that's fair enough. By the end of the video, I probably won't agree with half of my own predictions because so much could change, but let's have a respectful conversation down in the comments. Let's be nice and not nasty. With all of that said and done, let's just get into the predictions. So then, as you can see, we are doing this on a tier list, so fairly self-explanatory. The top 4, the European places, so we're talking 5th, 6th, 7th, and then you've got 8th to 10th, 11th to 14th, 15th to 17th, and the bottom 3. The 3 teams that will be going down to the Championship. And let's work from the bottom to the top. So first of all, I think, looking at this, I think there's 6 teams that are in the relegation battle. I'm going to put them in this category to start off with because let's try and deal with this collectively. You've got the current bottom 6 that I think are the teams that are going to be involved. So let's move them all there. You've got Leicester and Southampton as well. So this is interesting. I think first of all, what I'm going to say is I know it's not mathematically impossible that West Ham or even Man United could get pulled into this. I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to stay away from trouble. As for these 6, I think Palace are going to stay up. I'm going to keep Palace here. I think they're going to finish 15th. That's currently where they are. There is an argument to be made that they could even finish higher because their form is very good. 1 defeat in the last 9 league games. So they're hard to beat at the moment. I will admit that because of the poor start to the season, it has left them in a precarious position still, that if they go on a bad run between now and March, they could still be involved in this going into the final few weeks. But the form has improved, as we thought it would. That team is starting to, things are coming to fruition. They've got Eze, they've got Mateta. So first of all, they've got the quality and they've got the form. 1 defeat in the last 9 games. And look at those next 5. The next 5 games are all against teams in the bottom half of the table. So Crystal Palace could certainly be quite clear of this in a few weeks' time. You could make the argument that if they lose these games against teams around them, they get sucked back in. So at this moment in time, they're not safe yet, but I think they will be. So let's have Palace 15th. Then it's tricky. Then it's really tricky looking at this. Let's do the obvious first of all. I think Southampton are going down. Sorry, Southampton fans, I think you're going to agree with me. 10 points from safety at the moment and 2 points in the last 10 games. Absolutely hopeless form. I know they've changed manager and it's not that anyone should really be jumping on Ivan Juric and saying this is his fault. Russell Martin just couldn't get a tune out of them from where he was concerned. I know he was trying to play a style of football that it just didn't work. It didn't work, and give Ivan Juric some time. I'm sure he can try and get some results, but it seems a bit of a lost cause at the minute, Southampton. I'm so happy to be proven wrong, by the way. If Southampton somehow stay up, brilliant, but I just don't see it. I really don't see it. They've scored 12 goals all season, and the next 3 games look pretty tricky. Man United away, Forest away, Newcastle at home, and Southampton have to start scoring points at a decent rate. You know, I'm talking they need 3-4 points from those next 3 games to start being taken seriously. Even then, a lot of people still won't see a way that they could get out of this. So Southampton are gone. This is tricky. You've got Leicester, Ipswich, Wolves and Everton. I think the relegation battle will focus around these 4. I think right now, I think it's going to be 2 from 4. But who is going down? This is really, really tough. I think Leicester will. But while I'm saying Leicester will, it's not in the same way that I'm saying Southampton will. Southampton, for me, I'd give them a 1% chance of staying up. Leicester, maybe a 25% chance of staying up. I still think they've got a decent chance. Look how close it is down there, and look at Leicester's next few fixtures. They look winnable. You've got Palace, Fulham, Tottenham and Everton. They're not easy. No games are easy in the Premier League, but they're games you could get points from. Obviously, like Southampton, Leicester have changed the manager. Will it be looked back on with hindsight that they shouldn't have changed the manager? Maybe. I did say that even though Steve Cooper football can be boring, it was getting them a few results, and they just look so open. That's the problem for Leicester, conceding so many goals. And it could be conceding more. You know, honestly, the shots against, some of these numbers for Leicester are really concerning. That said, Vardy, Buonanotte, Mavididi, they've got good players that can score goals, but they need points. They need them sooner rather than later. And what I have said this season is I think it'll be a low tide. I think it's possible someone might stay up with 32 points, which gives everyone a bit of a chance. 32 points is not a lot, but I don't know, it can be a lot to ask from teams that have come up from the Championship. So that's what I'm going with so far. I'm going to say Everton stay up. I'm going to keep them here. I'm going to say 16th place for Everton. I just think that even though the form is dreadful, they always find a way. And it'll be, do you know what? I reckon it could get to a point where in 3 or 4 weeks, they're in the bottom 3, and even I might start thinking, I think they're gone, or something like that. And then they get you into this position where you think they're gone, you're going to write them off, and then they prove you wrong. So I'm not going to touch Everton. I'm just going to leave them where they are. I've been burnt too many times trying to predict Everton to stay up or go down, and it's just, let's just keep them where they are. I know that the form's not good, no wins in the last 5, but they have had some really difficult games. The cause for concern is the goal threat. They've only scored 15 this season in 19 games. I think that's the second lowest. But you just know that they'll find a way. They are quite good defensively compared to some of the teams down here. So let's have Everton to stay up. But like I say, you can put down the recent form down to the fact they've had hard games. I think the fixtures will get nicer, and they just find a way. They do. You can't imagine Everton moving into that new stadium in the Championship. I think they'll get 35, 36 points, and that'll be enough. Everton fans, share your thoughts. And then we're left with Ipswich and Wolves, and this is where I'm at. I think it's one of these. I think one of these go down with these two. And you know, I would love at least one of the newly promoted teams to stay up, just because it's better for football. You can't have the same 3 coming up, going back down. But my head is also saying to me, it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. It happened last year. Will it happen this year? Well, the difference this year is Ipswich look all right. Ipswich have a fighting chance, whereas last season, Luton were okay, but on the whole, that bottom 3 was not very good. I think Leicester could still stay up, and I think Ipswich could still stay up, and I think Ipswich might, which would be at the expense of Wolves, in my opinion. The things I'm comparing here are Wolves have just brought in a new manager, Pereira. They've picked up 7 points in the last 5 games. Ipswich have picked up 7 points in the last 5 games. Wolves have Cunha, who is not a bottom half Premier League player. Ipswich have McKenna, and that brings an identity and continuity as well, because he's been there for a few years that Wolves haven't quite figured out with Pereira, even though they're getting results. Ipswich have Smodics and Delap, and you just sense that hunger because they've not been in the Premier League for so long that they just need to get over the line, but it's not going to be easy. But I'm going to do it. I'm sorry, Wolves. I like Wolves. I don't want to really put anyone down there, but that's what I'm going with. Ipswich just get over the line. At this moment in time, the only thing separating these two is 1 goal difference. So you could flip a coin right now. I certainly think Everton could be pulled in. I certainly think Leicester could still stay up. But I think Ipswich and Wolves, it really could revolve around those two at the end of the season. That's my bottom 6. Palace 15th, Everton 16th, Ipswich 17th, Wolves 18th, Leicester 19th, Southampton 20th. Let's move on to mid-table. It gets a little bit easier here. Let's start with West Ham. This is an interesting one at the moment because at the time of recording this, West Ham have literally just sacked Lopetegui. Am I surprised? No, I didn't think he'd last the season. Has he done well? Not really. There's talks about Graham Potter possibly going in. That could be confirmed by the time I do this video. Either way, I think West Ham as a team have enough to stay up. With Jared Bowen and Souček and Wan-Bissaka, and they're just too much Premier League quality to go down. But I'm not going to move them up. I'm just going to keep them 14th. And the West Ham fans, what do you think? What do you think to that? The cause for concern for me has been the defence. Averaging, I think it's about 2 goals against. You need 3 goals to win games when you're playing like that. But I think they'll stay up. 14th place, West Ham fans, do let me know your thoughts. Let's move on to 13th, where this is close. I'm going to go with Brentford, but from Brentford upwards, it's a real jumble. It's a real jumble. You could close your eyes and pick a card, any card with these teams. It's a complete guessing game right now. Brentford, I think, could finish top half, but I'm going to go with 13th. What I like about Brentford is the players, Mbeumo, Visa, I like Thomas Frank, the manager. Flecken's been good, Damsgaard as well. There's a lot to like about Brentford. Been very good at home up until the last couple of games anyway. I think the form has tailed off a little bit. They've lost 5 in their last 8 in all competitions, but then they did just beat Southampton away 5-0. Look, I won't read too much into when teams beat Southampton, but when you beat them 5-0, that is a statement. And Brentford are a good attacking team. I'm going to say 13th, but this is really close. I think they could sneak into the top half. I'm going 13th for now, and then I will go with Man United. Man United are currently 13th, but I'm going to put them 12th. Is that good? No. Are there going to be Manchester United fans in the comments saying they wish I put them higher? Yes, but I'm trying to be realistic here. I genuinely, having watched Manchester United this season, I don't know if they're going to make the top 10. I don't. If they played more like when they did against Liverpool, if they did that more often, top half, top 8, top 7 maybe, on their day, they're really good. Bruno, Diallo, very good attacking creative players. They've got some of the best players in the league. Not many of them, but a couple of them, a couple of the youngsters. But too inconsistent, too crazy, too unpredictable. 12th place. That's what I'm going to go with. But I am willing to be proved wrong on this, and I do think Amorim will get something right soon, where they might go on a 4 or 5 game winning run, but I'm not sure. The weird thing is, Man United will go and beat Man City, draw with Liverpool, and then lose 3-0 to a bottom half team or something. But I'm going to put them 12th. 11th place, let's go with Brighton. Certainly think Brighton could push into that top half, but at the moment they are winless in 8. That said, 1-1 against Arsenal last time is not a bad result. Once again, just seem too inconsistent. They've not even lost that many games. I think they've lost 4 Premier League games, but draws are killing them. They've drawn 10 out of 20. That's half their games. It just seems like fine margins. You know, they're certainly in the games. They play good football as well. They're good on the metrics and the stats, but just struggle to turn draws into wins at the moment, and that's why I'll have them sort of right in the middle. Going forwards, João Pedro, Welbeck, Mitoma, they've got good players, but are they still just that little bit toothless in terms of just converting the winning goal? Maybe they need a new forward player. Let's move on to the top half. This is really hard, but I'm going to start with Tottenham. Let's have them 10th. Very much like Manchester United, I don't know what to do with Tottenham. I don't think there's a lot to separate some of these teams in the middle, but the reality is they are currently 16 points behind Nottingham Forest. They are a long way off that top 3. Here's a question to the Tottenham fans. Would you be happy with finishing 10th if it also means that you win the Carabao Cup? Because it's been a long time since Tottenham have won some silverware. Would you take an underwhelming Premier League season with a cup? Because I think that's possible. Like I say, they've just beaten Liverpool 1-0. On their day, they're really good. They beat some of the top teams. They beat Man City away 4-0. But they've lost more games than they've won. They've won 7 and lost 10. And they've lost 4 of their last 6 games. I don't know. Let's have them in the middle. Let's have Tottenham in the middle. Let's move on to 9th place, where we're going to go with Fulham. the first of the class of 2022 from the Championship. Those three teams, Fulham, Bournemouth and Forest, are absolutely going places. Fulham have been a joy to watch yet again. They keep improving season on season. Marco Silva, still think he's an underrated manager. Even though most of us think he's good, I still think he's underrated. The job he's done turning Fulham around from a yo-yo team to a top half regular now, I think we could say. Incredible. Like I say, 8 games unbeaten. They've got Jimenez, they've got Iwobi, they've got Wilson, they've got plenty of players that score goals. I think Jimenez has got 8 this season, so that is sustainable. I'm going to put Fulham top half, and then we've got to have AFC Bournemouth next to them. AFC Bournemouth, just like Fulham, came up from the Championship in 2022 and are also 8 games unbeaten at the minute. And they've also got plenty of players that have chipped in with goals, with Kluivert on 6 goals, Semenyo on 5 goals and Evan Nilsson on 5 goals. I genuinely thought losing Solanke would be a problem. How wrong I was to doubt Bournemouth and their recruitment. And Iriola, what a manager as well. So yeah, Bournemouth, I think top 8, definitely possible. So that's where I'm going to put them. They're currently in 7th place. So yeah, I'm pretty much sticking with Bournemouth to stay where they are. Some people might say this is unrealistic, but if you've been watching the Premier League so far this season after 20 games, Bournemouth have been better than Man United over the season, and in the head-to-head they beat them 3-0. Let's move on to the top 7 then, and this is really where you get European places. Let's start with Villa. I think Villa are going to get into the top 7. Do I think they'll make the top 4? I think it's possible. I definitely think it's possible, but they are currently 8 points off Nottingham Forest at this moment in time. So a lot of hard work to go for Villa to get into that top 4 picture. And I also think, are we just starting to see the Champions League football catching up with them a little bit? Maybe, because they've been brilliant in that. And I think if they finish in the top 7 and, you know, get at least to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, which I think is more than possible, that's a good season. I wouldn't even write Villa off trying to get to the semi-finals of the Champions League. It just seems like they've been brilliant. But as for the Premier League, just a bit inconsistent again. You look at the form, 2 wins in the last 5 games, -2 goal difference. They're the only team in the top half with a negative goal difference, so just below 2 hot and cold. I like them. I like Unai Emery. The Villa fans are always loud and passionate and making a difference, but yeah, I'll go with them to slightly creep up on where they are now. They're currently 8th. I'm going to have them 7th. And then we come on to the top 6, and this is really, really hard. Let's go with Chelsea. That might come as a little bit of a surprise, but I'm going to have Chelsea in 6th place because at the end of the day, it's so close that I don't blame anyone for putting Chelsea 3rd, 4th, 5th or 6th. I think any of these teams could finish in any order. Don't get me wrong, Chelsea have been brilliant. They've been better than I thought they would be. Cole Palmer is having another brilliant season. Maresca has done a great job. I will say, going back to Cole Palmer, if he picks up an injury, that would be a massive blow. And recently, Chelsea's form has just gone off it a little bit. 2 points in the last 4. And I do sense that it could be a high tide to get into the top 4 this season. Usually, it's about 70 points. This season it could be about 75 with the standard that's been set by this top 4 or 5. Let's have Chelsea still getting Europa League football, and at the same time I think they're going to win the Conference League this season as well. 5th place. This sounds crazy. Man City are going to finish 5th. That's what I'm going with. I'm putting my neck on the line because I think that is bold, but is it? I'm not sure. They've not been very good lately. Don't get me wrong, brilliant team. Absolutely stacked with quality. Erling Haaland scored. How many goals has Haaland got? 16 goals in the Premier League again this year. And he's had a spell where he didn't score for a while. To still get 16 is amazing. He's on course for 30 goals again. It's the next 8 games that worry me. You've got Brentford and Ipswich, but then it's Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Tottenham and Forest. And City have been struggling recently. Rodri is a massive blow. You know, he's been a real miss for Man City. So, considering their form's not been great, and they've conceded the most goals in the top 7, and they've got some difficult games coming, I could see Man City possibly missing out on top 4 this season, which sounds crazy, but I think it's possible. That's what I'm going to go with. Let me know your thoughts. You do also have to factor in the possibility that they could get a points deduction, in which case they could be anywhere. It depends on the points deduction. If they get punished for breaking rules, they could finish there, they could finish there, they could finish there. Imagine if they finish behind Southampton. But I'm going to say 5th, and I will also mention that it's possible 5th place could get Champions League this season, depending on how the English teams perform in Europe. So that is still possible. Let me know your thoughts. Let's move on to the top 4. And in 4th place, I'm going to go with Newcastle. I think they're going to get back to the Champions League. They've just been so good lately. Newcastle have currently won 7 on the bounce in all competitions. Imagine if they finish 4th and win the Carabao Cup this season. What a year that would be for them. I think it's possible. I really do. It kind of reminds me of the 22-23 season, because Newcastle got to the top 4 that year and they got to the final of the Carabao Cup. They've been brilliant. Isak, Murphy, Gordon, Barnes, they are so good going forwards. They've got so many good players, but in particular, Isak is an absolute joke. So yeah, the Newcastle fans are going to be loving it. I'm going to say they get back to the Champions League, and the Newcastle fans always make a difference as well. Honestly, what a good fan base. Everything about Newcastle is ticking my boxes right now that they will get top 4. I just do. I know that they're on a good run, and it's possible that this could be the peak and things possibly trend down, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say they get the top 4, and this would be great as well if we get more of the non-top 6 teams getting into that top 4, just to teach them a lesson for trying to break away and do that Super League. Let's move on to the top 3 then. I'm going to have Nottingham Forest in 3rd place. I think they're going to finish in the top 4, and I'm going to go top 3 as well, which would be ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Bear in mind, guys, I was watching Forest playing in the Championship about 4 years ago, and they were a bottom half team in the 2021 season, but they've grown so much. They've been so good to watch. Marinakis, by the way, appointing Steve Cooper, brilliant, to get them to the Premier League, and then appointing Nuno to get them up here. Honestly, what's next? Is he going to appoint Pep? I don't think the Forest fans would want him at the moment. Honestly, Nuno is so good. And do you know what I love about Nuno as well? He's not making it about him. I just love how it's just everyone saying, look how well Forest are doing. And I sometimes think Nuno might not be getting the credit that he deserves from the media. The players, honestly, they've been brilliant. The signings, the business that they did, absolutely fantastic. And to go from a relegation scrap last season to a title challenge this season is amazing. Once again, is it that Nottingham Forest have reached the peak and things might trend down from here? Maybe. They have just won 6 in a row, which is unbelievable, but I think they could still kick on even more. And next up for Forest is Liverpool at home. If they win that, they close the gap on Liverpool to 3 points. The title race would well and truly be alive. But even if they lose that, I still think top 4 is more than possible. And I'm going to say 3rd. That's a bold shout. I know there's going to be people screaming at their TVs and their phones. How can you have them there? Well, why are they here after the first half of the season then? Because they've been good. It's not too much to say that they're going to be good in the second half of the season as well. Like I say, Chris Wood scores goals. That back line is incredible. Forest are going to the Champions League. And I can't wait. That would be amazing. Let's get on to the top 2 next then, and I will go with Arsenal in second. I just think there's a difference between Arsenal and Liverpool. I do. I think Liverpool have got a player that Arsenal could just very much do with, and that is Mohamed Salah. Because I look at Arsenal, and they've got the best defence in the league in terms of the fact they've conceded the fewest goals. Havertz is the top scorer though, with 7 goals. That just doesn't seem right. I know it's still possible they could win the Premier League, and I did say that at the start of the season that Arsenal would, but I just think they lack a cutting edge. I think Arsenal are really good. They move the ball around nicely, dangerous from set pieces. There's a lot to like about Arsenal. I know Saka's been a miss, but they just lack a player like Mohamed Salah. And I know they've got a great team anyway, but it just seems to be the difference at the minute. Arsenal can't quite turn some results into wins, and that might just be their undoing. But I still think they'll finish second. They've still been great to watch this season. On the 2nd of February, they've got Man City at home. That feels like a big game. They've got to win that game. And they've probably got to go to Anfield and win to really try and get the title. But that is a tall order. And that does mean that I've gone with Liverpool to win the Premier League. Is it a surprise? Probably not. Liverpool have been the best team this season. They are currently 6 points clear and have a game in hand. So, you know, if they beat Everton in that game in hand, they would be 9 points clear. And then it just makes things look that bit more comfortable. So, yeah, I think they've been great. Arne Slot, I mean, to do this in his first season, incredible. What I will say is that currently Liverpool are still fighting on all four fronts, which could take it out of them at some stage. It could be that players get injured, there's a bit of fatigue, I don't know. Things could catch up with them, but I don't think enough for them to not win the Premier League. Right now, I just think Liverpool, I can't see past them. And it's the players that win games like Mohamed Salah, but as well as that, Diaz, Jota, Nunez, I suppose, as well. Yeah, just too much firepower, solid at the back. So I'm going with them to win the league. Their next two games, though, I will mention, Forest away and Brentford away. If they lose to Forest, the title race opens up, and Brentford have been very good at home as well. So they are two tricky games, but like I say, Liverpool have picked up the most points. They've scored the most goals, 47 goals. Salah has scored 18 and he's got 13 assists. That is ridiculous. So I'm going with Liverpool to win the league, Arsenal to come second, Forest to come third, and Newcastle to come fourth. I know some of you might look at this table and think, oh, some of that's very unrealistic, but I think it's been a very open Premier League season where strange things might happen. So who knows? I genuinely feel fairly happy with that prediction. Like I say, you might agree with some, you might disagree with some. That's fair enough. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you want to support this video, please be sure to drop a like. It takes 2 seconds, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Your support has been fantastic. Let's keep moving towards 90,000 subscribers next, and let's see what happens next time in the Premier League. Myself and Sophie will be back with weekly Premier League predictions at the start of next week for those midweek games. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace out.